and welcome to another episode of Talking Bollocks with me. Yes, it's your favourite podcast host, Howard H. Smith of Talking Bollocks, and also of lead singer of Acid Rain fame, stand-up comedian fame as Keith Platt. I runs this here podcast. I also host the official Motorhead podcast, the Motorcast. Oh, it's all happening here at Talking Bollocks Towers. That's enough of me. What about you? How are you? How are you feeling today? How are you feeling whilst listening to this podcast? I hope you're well wherever you are in the world. I hope this finds you in fine fettle and you are ready to hear all about what's been going on in the world of metal. Well, what has been going on? I'm actually going to start by going back a bit. I mentioned Mike Tramp, he of White Lion fame, that he was going to be doing the Swedish version, or is it the Danish version? I'm not quite sure, of Eurovision. That's right. Thank you. Get your head together, Howard. And I got a correspondence from Thomas Bojan or Bojan. I'm sorry, Thomas, not quite sure how to pronounce your name, but he said the truth is far more funny than him participating this year. It is that it's his first musical endeavour was actually in Eurovision back in 1978 with a band called Mabel, and the song won. And there was and it got through into the final that year. So I have put a link to the video on YouTube that you can watch of this. Right, I've put a link in the description of the podcast. If you're listening to this on a podcast player, you should see the link there. If you're wherever you are, you should be able to click on that link and see that. So look, thank you very much, Thomas. It's brilliant. Do have a look at it if you can. It's absolutely superb. So what else has been going on in the world of metal? Because that wasn't really going on. Well, I'd like to start with an apology. And I'm going to start with an apology. This was inspired by Lee Milner, regular listener, bollocker, no less. Thank you very much, Lee. And I had a bit of a dig, a go at Simon Wright. He of AC/DC, well, up until 1989, saying he said that his phone never rang, and I sort of took the piss out of that and say, well, what did you expect? But to be honest, Lee mounted a very sensible defence of it, and I went back and read the article. And to be fair, yeah, he was asked about it, and he answered, and that was kind of it, really. And I just basically, I did what a comedian does, which I focused on one sentence that I knew I could get a laugh out of, and so I ripped him apart about that, and it was. Yeah, it was a bit dickish, really. So my apologies. Dick move. Well pointed out, Lee. Sorry, Simon Wright. Not that you're bothered, because, who the fuck am I? But, I think, when somebody points out that you've done something wrong, it's worth, well, not even done something wrong, but, what I'm saying is I'm open to new information and to points of view, and I'm more than prepared to back down and go, yeah, do you know what? That was a bit of a dick move. So there you go. Anywho, what's next? Well, as loath as I am to mention the cunt, but, Ted Nugent, right? There's a story at the moment going around, and some companies have withdrawn sponsorship from his fucking numbskull TV show, where I think he just runs around naked hunting fucking animals and throwing spears and just generally being a twat, a nature twat. I can't even be bothered to look up what the name of the show is, but apparently some of the sponsors have pulled because he's expressed racist opinions, and basically he's defended himself against these. And but this is classic. This is a quote, and it says, "What are you talking?" And this is what he's saying. This is what his representatives have been saying. What are you talking about? He's not a racist. He's probably the biggest promoter of black artists in the history of the spoken word. Now, is it any wonder that Ted Nugent loves Donald Trump so much when he comes out with stuff like that. Probably the biggest promoter of black artists in the history of the spoken word. It just even sounds like Trump, completely nonsensical, blown up to the absolute maximum to be, so it's like unquestionable. And I just thought it was absolutely hilarious that he genuinely sounds like Donald Trump now. The biggest promoter of black artists in the history of the spoken word. Just think about that. I mean, that is just, brilliant. Nice one, Ted. Dear me. Back to the farm. Yeah, back to chasing goats or whatever it is you do. Yeah, just off you go. So what else been going? Good old Dave Elefson, friend of the show. He came out with a cracking quote. He was asked about he's doing Elefson Soto project with Jeff Scott Soto, and he was asked what it would sound like, and he was saying about how it won't say thrash. He said it's heavy, but it's like I'm already in the greatest thrash band in the history of the world, so I don't need to do thrash anywhere else. I do that in Megadeth, and I play with the guy who invented the genre. So to me, when I do other things, it's fun to expand. Now, there's a couple of things to pick up on there first, isn't there? I mean, again, with the a hangover from Ted Nugent there, in the history of the world, you can just say history. That covers the history of the world, but no, let's hammer it home. Greatest thrash band in the history of the world. Well, look, if you're a massive Megadeth fan, then yeah, and if you're in Megadeth, clearly, yeah. I mean, I think there's a lot of people that would take issue with that, but then again, it's an opinion. Yeah, it's not my opinion, and I disagree, but it's Dave's opinion, fair enough. But then there's the line, I play with the guy who invented the genre. Now, recently, I was reassessing P Cells But Who's Buying for a feature that I run on Patreon. That is patreon.com/Howard H. Smith. If you would like to sign up for $5 or $6 a month and get loads of extra content, then please do come along. And one thing that became apparent, certainly, when I was reviewing P Cells, it's like what a massive step forward it was from Killing Is My Business, how it stood up well, but the technicality as well is just phenomenal. And it has to be said, I kind of had this realization, and it's nothing amazing, you've probably heard it before, but ultimately when you think about who is the kind of the man in thrash metal, I have to agree, I think it is Dave Mustaine. Now, I've made jokes at Dave's expense and sort of, picked apart some of his more ridiculous statements in the past. I've even done some pretty terrible impressions. But when you think about it, I mean, when it comes to Megadeth, he's the lead singer, he is the lead guitarist, he's the songwriter. I mean, he is basically, he does more in that band than any one single individual does in any of the big four, for instance. And I think for just that reason alone, you've just got to say, well, yeah, singer, songwriter, lead guitarist, main riff writer. I mean, he is the man. And I think that is right. I really, really do. And it got me to thinking about the big four as kids in a North American high school, right? And the yearbook, and everybody votes what they're most likely to be. And I just thought, right, so who would the big four be as kids in high school? Well, first up, Metallica, right? Metallica are, look, the jock, basically the perfect guy. He's great at everything. Yeah, he's brilliant at sport. He's great at drama. Girls want to, girls want to fuck him. Guys want to be him. He's just the man. Voted most likely to be successful at anything they do. Right. Next up, you've got Anthrax. That's nice and easy. The class clown. Yeah. Fucking about all over the place, having a good time, always good for a good time. You love hanging out with them, lots of friends, dressed brightly and not ashamed of it. Voted most likely to be funny and sell a shitload of records. right? And then you've got Slayer. Well, Slayer sits at the back of the class, dressed in black, long fringe over the face so you don't have to look at anybody. Pretty much doesn't say much, doesn't have any friends, very much beats to the marches to the beat of his own drum, voted most likely to become a serial killer. And then there's Megadeth, sat right at the front of the class, constantly interrupting the teacher, disagreeing, banging people over the head with their opinions, which kind of don't really jive with the rest of everybody, but you've grudgingly got to admit that they do have a point, and seems to go through friends at quite a rate, but has always got that one best mate who's always hanging out with him, voted most likely to become president of the United States of America. And that is pretty much how I picture the Big Four. Now, anyway, back to our lovely review of the news. George Lynch and Don Dokken are in agreement that a proper Dokken reunion should happen, and you know what? I totally agree, because I've got a bit of a soft spot for Dokken. Tooth and Nail, great album, some brilliant tunes on that. So, yeah, I hope it happens. There, I said it. I hope Dokken actually reform and do something. I think it'd be great. Now, this story caught my eye, and not just because I host the Motorcast, but this story I just thought was absolutely... This is awesome. I mean, for a lot of people, Lemmy is the archetypal rock star. He's the man that sums up the rock and roll lifestyle, the metal lifestyle, and this could not be more appropriate. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to read the article. This is basically by Ricky Rackman, who used to host Headbangers Ball way back in the day, and here's his story. He says, "Look, I love Motorhead. Motorhead was a band I was a huge fan of," and he basically goes on and on about Motorhead, and he said he became really good friends with Lemmy as well, and just said he was a very, very kind person and really cool. And he continued, he said, I was talking to Lemmy's manager once in a while, and he said to me, "Hey, Motorhead's got something for you. Lemmy's got something for you that's personal. What's the best address to send it to?" He said, "So I think I'm going to send me an album or something like that." So he said, Lemmy was one of the few guys that him and the manager always used to wish me a happy birthday, and I always had a happy birthday thing from them, and that they sent me. They were always good to me. So I didn't know what to expect. Got it in the mail, and I'm opening the box, and it doesn't say who it's from. And I'm like, I don't know what this is. And I open the box, and I take out this little plastic thing, and there's a bullet in it. And I was like, wow, that's kind of cool. And the bullet says Lemmy. So I open this up, and the bullet says Lemmy on it. So I'm holding it, and I tell my girlfriend, I said, "Look how cool this is. This is a bullet. I wonder if it was maybe, from Lemmy's belt or something like that." And then I got this letter with it, and I'm reading it, and it says, when Lemmy died, he wanted his ashes to be put into bullets and given out to his close personal friends. And he says, when I read that, my eyes started getting really, really teary-eyed. And I showed it to my girlfriend, and she started getting teary-eyed. It's the greatest gift I've ever received in my life. It is without doubt my prized possession. I'm getting it made into a necklace so I can keep it on me wherever I go. How fucking cool is that? To be, I mean, to have your ashes put into bullets. That is just amazing. Absolutely amazing. I mean, I just think that is, that is beyond metal, isn't it, really? That is the way to go. That is what you want to do. Have your ashes put into individual bullets and send them to your friends. I mean, there is no more metal thing than that. Absolutely fucking brilliant. And speaking of metal, Blackmore's Night have got another video out. This one is for the Second Element. Of course, it's not metal at all, as we know, but yet another brilliant video. It's right up there with Nature's Light. I'm getting all confused here, aren't I? Dear me. It's the fourth single, Second Element, and it's a follow-up to the video that I put a link up before. I mean, there is still an amazing solo in the middle of this, so it is worth watching for the amazing solo. It's not a shredding solo, but Blackmore just makes that guitar sing. He really does, and the video is for me quite amusing. So I'll put a link. I'll put a link to that in the podcast as well. Yeah, I'm sure you'll be delighted with that. I'm sure. Also, Fear Factory teasing a new album cover. That's right. Yes, Dino is still progressing with putting this album out that Burton did vocals on 3 years ago and all the rest of it, and there's still no date for it. But there's now a cover for it, so it's bound to happen. And but one new album that is out is Agent Steel, No Other Gods Before Me. Now, I haven't had a chance to listen to this yet, but I wanted to flag it up purely because it is out, and a name from the past that I'm sure a lot of you will recognise, so probably worth tracking down. Now, first up, a name that you may not recognise, and that is Cryptosis. Now, I was lucky enough to do an interview with Cryptosis, well, with Cryptosis bass player, who you're about to hear my discussions with now, and it was on the back of me getting the album from the label, and I was like, oh my god, this is pretty darn good. And actually, you're going to also hear the story on the interview of like my first discovery of Cryptosis, and this is with Frank de Riet, who is bass player with the band, and I really enjoyed this. Now, it was done on Zoom, so there'll be some sort of visual cues there, so I apologise about that. And I am going to put the interview up on the Talking Bollocks YouTube channel, so there'll be a link to that as well. So there you go. So, link-tastic, eh? So, without further ado, let's just crack on with it. The album is called Bionic Swarm. It is out now. I suggest you get your ears around it, because it is an absolute banger. It really is. I'm really enjoying it. It's in my top 5 of the year. Without a doubt, I reckon. Without a doubt. I can't see anything booting that out, that's for sure. So, this is Frank and I having a chat a couple of weeks ago. So, boom, we're recording. Thank you. Great. We've got all the technological stuff out of the way. So, my name's Howard. Hi, nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I sing in a UK thrash band, Acid Rain, from way back in the day. Came back.
Yeah, I know.
Oh, right, cool. All right, well, I've been doing stand-up comedy in between, and now I have this podcast, which I started a good few years ago. So we're just going to have a chat. I mean, and it's quite a fascinating situation. Yours, not the normal. This ain't some debut album from a band who it's the first time that they've put an album out or anything like that. It's clearly a major progression. So Distillator, you put together when you were young. Do you think that was kind of basically grown out of that band?
Yeah, we put it together when we were still students, yeah, when I look at, when I'm doing these kind of interviews, I'm looking back at that time, and like how what kids we were, back then, with knowing what we know now, So that's funny, but yeah, we kind of wanted to play stuff, like Sodom, Slayer, Megadeth, that kind of old school 80s metal, and we really loved that. But the years went by, and we discovered that prog music was great, that there are so much great music made in so many different genres, and we started to listen more and more and more and more to that kind of stuff. And whenever we go on the road, we have a crew with us, sound, lights, drum tech, so we are with a big pretty big group, and everybody has, you know, different musical interests. So, you know, when we drive, for example, 1,200 kilometers to a festival to play there, and you know, we have like so many hours of different music that we hear, you know, and inspire the rest of the guys. And so yeah, at one point we just, you know, thought like, yeah, thrash metal, it's cool, but it has been done for 35 years, and there's not really much innovation in the genre anymore. And you know, a lot of bands, you know, with all respect, but they sound good, but you know, it's not the most innovative genre of music. And you know, we kind of starting to dislike that a lot, you know? And we kind of felt like we were not really belonging to that scene, you know, like and you know, if you for example see a black metal scene, there's so much innovation going on there, you know, like artists really trying to push the boundaries of what the genre is, you know, really every few years the whole genre, you know, is defined again. And you know, that's something that has never really happened with thrash. And yeah, for us, we felt like it was too small, you know, to stay in there, because our interests are way broader, you know. So that's basically yeah, I think the mindset that we had when we started writing for this album. Yeah,
that's I mean, everything you've just said is exactly everything that I've been saying for the last 10 years. You know, and by the way, yeah, I'm really familiar with listening to stuff that you did when you were younger. Yeah, like 30-year-old albums. It's like, oh my god, that sounds terrible. But everything you were saying there, yes. I mean, the reason thrash died in the first place, for my money, and yet it, you know, okay, a lot of people say, oh, thrash never died. It went into a fucking coma, and the reason was there was no innovation. Every thrash album was really well produced. It had a ballad on it, had a song about the planet dying, you know, and it was so predictable. And death metal just appeared from nowhere and just innovated the hell out of itself, sprang up all sorts of other genres. And people say death metal killed thrash metal. Thrash metal turned the gun on itself, you know, because it just stagnated. And I totally get what you're talking about. And I can hear it in the album as well. So it's all very well, like having those desires, but to actually realize it, you know, well done, man. It sounds great. And funnily enough, I spotted a couple of Voivod influences in there. I can't imagine how that happened.
Well, that's funny, you know, like we hardly listen to Voivod, you know, like
you just found that shirt on your floor and thought, I'll wear this.
No, it's a Vector.
Oh, it is as well. That's easily done. Oh man, David would kill me for that.
You sure you're into trash?
yeah. Oh no, I'll have to message him and say I just thought somebody was wearing a Voivod shirt. It's one of yours. And yet, a great band. But again, Vector, I get why you're wearing that shirt, because what they're doing is taking something that existed but doing something different with it.
They're really trying to push that genre, I think, you know, and in a not really conventional way. But yeah, I think that's really, you know, I think that's one of the most interesting bands, I think. You know, in this kind of genre these days.
Yeah, without a doubt. And I think that you know, what you were saying about, you know, innovation and everything is so important. As somebody who's like, you know, an old school thrasher, and I get asked all the time what I'm listening to, all the time, what do you think to new thrash bands coming through? And I never want to, I don't want to be negative. You know, I always want to encourage people, but at the same time, you know, when you keep hearing the same thing, and it's like, yeah, guys, well done, great. You know, you're all wearing drainpipe jeans on the back of the album. You've got a brand new ironed Creator t-shirt on. You've managed to find some, you know, some high-tech high tops, and yeah, well done. It sounds like early Creator, but what's the point in that?
Yeah, that's exactly what our, you know, feeling is too. You know, And yeah, we of course, we made albums like that as well in the past, but we didn't know better then.
Yeah, I know, but I mean, it takes some balls to look at what you're doing and go, do you know what? We can, we can do better. And not just that, but then more balls to go, actually, fuck it, let's ditch the name. Let's start again. I mean, that was a big step, man. Whose idea was that?
Yeah, we have been talking about it, with the three of us for I think 2-3 years already. But it always stayed like an idea, and we just went along with songwriting, and every now and then we talked about it, but weren't really convinced yet. And then we got a mix of the album. We listened to it, and we thought like, fuck, this is something that's really different than our previous two albums, and might open a lot of doors, because this is really the way we want to dive deeper into, like, we really want to do more experimental stuff and for the future, and more prog. And so we thought like, okay, we have a logo that's dripping off old school 80s thrash metal on all sides. So if people see a poster with that name, they think white shoes,
Yeah,
ripped jeans, thrash metal, and bullets. And that's just something that we thought it really doesn't do justice on our new music. And we thought like, maybe we're going to write another album and then change the name, but why not do it now, and try to start a new following,
yeah.
with people that really like this kind of stuff. And if old school thrash metal fans like our new music, then they will discover it anyway. So
Yeah.
we weren't really too afraid. But of course, the last day before we're going to announce it, yeah, it was a bit exciting. Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, how was the label? I mean, because the thing is, people think that a band want to change the name, so they just change the name. But of course, you've got people around you that, like for instance, the label, who are going to be doing business for you, and you can't just ultimately, if the label had turned around and said, actually, can you just do this one under the old name and then maybe change it the next time? But were they good with it?
Well, actually, when we finished the album, yeah, we decided to change it. But then, we had the mix, but we also wanted to go, to look for a label. So we gave it to our manager, and he said like, we're going to change the name, and you can show this, SoundCloud link to anybody you want, but don't mention our previous band name. Just say it's a new band and yet to be announced band name.
Wow,
So,
more balls again.
yeah.
More balls. Yeah, because that's a ballsy move, man. Just because you can put your name on it and the label knows, well, okay, so we can market as used to be. That guarantees us like, X sales, and that's the hard route to go down, man. And wow, the result is you manage to land a proper deal. With Century Media, your website's got more versions of that album on than that I've seen of anyone's. It's brilliant, absolutely. But you've got every single package nailed, and to the extent that I've got the podcast comes out tomorrow, the current edition, and I've put a live link in the podcast description to your website, and I've dropped the name of the band and the album that's on the way, and that I've got an advance copy, and it's great because I know a lot of people out there have heard the singles and are excited about it. So I wanted to show off that I've got the album, really. But well, yeah, your manager's done a great job, and that must have been. I mean, when he's coming back to you and saying, "Look, Century Media are interested." I mean, that must have been the culmination of all of those risks that you took. It must have felt like a huge payoff.
Yeah, and also there's more, because we have been working on it for I think 2 years, nonstop, and we finished it, and then we went shopping for a label. Boom, COVID-19 pandemic started. So a lot of labels were sending home stuff. So we were really like, oh fuck, this timing could not be worse. And we thought like, okay, if you know, if somebody wants to you know sign us, that would be really great, you know. And then I think we got a few people saying, you know, like labels that we really hope, you know, that maybe to work with. They said like, yeah, we think the music is so great, but you know, we cannot sign any bands right now because we're sending home half our employee stuff. So we were like, fuck, you know, I think we're pretty fucked because we also invested a lot of money, you know, in this album. And
Sounds like it.
yeah, and then I think maybe, you know, like in a really short time we got like we got like a few good reactions, you know, like people wanted to work with us, and we were like, oh, okay, you know, like it doesn't look that bad right now. And then we got an email saying that, yeah, Century Media is interested in talking a deal, and we were like, whoa, you know. Damn.
Yeah, yeah, and the timing sucks, man. I mean, what a unique situation as well. It's like, because everyone's talking about bands in, you know, in the pandemic and going, oh, how do you survive? You're writing a new album, you're trying to do some streaming shows, blah 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 blah. I don't think anyone's mentioned it. Yeah, what about a band who's like, you know, what about bands who are shopping for labels and all the labels are saying, well, we ain't signing anybody because we're sending everyone home. That's a horrendous situation to be in. There must have been some really, really dark times there for a while.
Yeah, I think it was just a matter of like 2-3 weeks, but still, you know, it wasn't fun to, you know, to see this kind of emails. But yeah, you know, like we just hold on, and you know, I think people are craving for music, just like you said. You know, like people are just sitting at home for the whole day or working from home or whatever, you know. And yeah, okay, you can listen to the, you know, another time to Master of Puppets, or you know, like listen to something that you never heard before. But you know, discovering new music, yeah, I think it's a really fun, the only fun thing to do actually these days.
That's always, but that's always been my thing. I'm always trying to find. It's like, yeah, great, you know, yeah, I'm as excited as anyone about, you know, the next Megadeth album, or you know, the next Creator album, and yeah, great. But I'm always looking for new stuff. You know, I want to be finding that next band, and then as soon as you do, share it with as many people as you can, and saying, look, you know, you're going to love this. And that's kind of how I came across your band. There's a friend of mine on Facebook posts thrash stuff when he gets something new that he likes, and he tags like about 50 of us, and it annoys the hell out of me. And all I do is I just, you know, I always go remove tag, you know, so I don't get all the notifications. And before I did it, I looked and I just saw his comment, and he said, "The new Slayer." And I was like, I have to press play. It was one of your tracks, I think the last single, and I was just like, oh, right, okay, cool, great, right. So that's when I hit you guys up on Instagram, and you know, got in touch with the label, and hence how we're here, because those people are out there. You know, those people who are constantly looking for new stuff, and people who are bringing something new to the table, or not necessarily even like new, but just slightly different, you know. And I did notice that with your album, there's some nice little touches of production on it as well. You know, you're not afraid to just go like, right, okay, we're going to strip it down, and this is what we're going to be. You know, there's long songs, there's short songs, there's a bit of production. Was that a conscious, you know, conscious decision, or is that just how it ended up being?
It's just how you make a great record. No.
Yeah, well, you have done, so fucking fun. Yeah,
no, I'm just kidding. But yeah, it's just, you know, like you cannot listen. Of course you can, but you know, it becomes pretty boring to listen to 10 extreme, fast, brutal songs. You know, you have to, you know, it's just like sex, you know, sometimes it's a bit rough, sometimes, you know, it's a bit slow, you know, and that's the way how you put together an album too, you know, like you can't listen, I cannot listen to this extreme doom metal bands, you know, it's a whole album, super slow, super, down tuned. After 10 minutes, I just got so bored, I need some melodies, I need some stuff going on, and yeah, so that's that's just basically, yeah, how we feel about writing music. And
Yeah.
this
No, I love
album is
it.
just
I
a
get it.
reflection of our uh, a reflection of our creative, yeah, the
Yeah,
way
yeah. I
we
mean,
think about music.
well, again, we're on the same page, you know. I mean, you're talking about, dynamics, variety, um, taking people on a journey, having an album where the track listing is that way for a fucking reason. I listen to so many albums and I just think, well, that's 10 songs of thrash, 10 songs, you can put it in any order. There's no story being told here. There's no journey to go on. You can listen to them in any order, listen to a few. What you want is an album where you go like, no, I have to listen to it in this order. And preferably, once you start listening, you go like, you get those albums, and I'm sure you know what I mean, where it's like you start it and you go, yeah, I'm in. It's got to be the whole album,
Yeah,
because you can do that, because it's not just one thing, because it's going to take you places, and I've said that countless times, like, hey everyone, let's just stop with the 7 out of 10 solid thrash albums, and let's all be looking at trying to hit a 9 and a 10 and do better than solid.
Yeah, but I think the main reason why like, also you, but it's, I think more people, get fed up with trash, for the reason that I think, like, thrash metal music is mostly played by fans, that happen to play a guitar or drums or whatever. But like other styles of music, they are more like, artists really trying to express something, about themselves or about some kind of idea that they have. And I think that's the most important distinction, I think, between this genre and a lot of other genres. So, if you are really a fan of Die Hard Slayer, for example, then you probably will never write, slower songs, because it's not really things that you like, to listen to as well. So I think then you end up with an album with just 10, super fast songs, with really a lot of aggression, and that's nice. But most of the time you can just cut the album in half, and it's still, like, enough.
But look, but if you look at it, look, Slayer did that, Rain in Blood. But even back then, all those years, they knew they had to do it quickly. It's like, okay, if you are going to do that album, then do it. But cut it right down, take all the fat off.
But it's already been done, like,
exactly. Exactly.
And, what's the point in doing it again? And also before them, no one did that, so they were kind of, doing something unique with that kind of sound, or that kind of aggression. And it's just not interesting anymore for anybody to try to do a second Rain in Blood, and I think a lot of thrash metal bands, they are really trying to achieve that. But
and again, even Slayer went exactly the opposite direction with the next album, which tells you all you need to know. One thing I did notice with the album is speaking as a vocalist, I mean, huge improvement in the vocals, and really finding his own voice. And there's only one scream, and it's cool. It's cool. It's a great scream. But it's like he seems to have kind of found his groove. I know it's difficult because it's not you, and we're talking about somebody else. But you must have seen that development as well, and been in the studio when he's laying those vocals down.
It's actually the two of us, we recorded the vocals ourselves.
Right.
We've been for one, I think. We rent a studio for a month, but not for every day, just like a few days there, then, a few days break, then 2 days recording. So, He and me, we just did that without any producer or
Wow.
technician. We did it, yeah, by ourselves, and so I was really, close, yeah, involved with that. But also, I read a lot of the lyrics for the album, and
Right.
I can do a lot of creative stuff. Um, so like Lawrence and me, we just we do everything that's being changed stuff from this little to now. It's just like yeah, work from our side, so with the focus as well, I said like it's really cool what you did on the first Distillator album, but it's too extreme for this kind of music, it's for that kind of style it was good, but now you need to do more, like make it more enjoyable for a longer period, and that we have music that stands on itself,
Yeah.
also instrumental, so there's no need to do this extreme kind of vocal style, it just like you can let the music breathe every now and then as well. It doesn't have to be all the time, over the top, and he really experimented with that in the studio, and yeah, I think he really did a really great job.
Yeah, I mean, I was really impressed, and I mean, simply put, that yes, that old sort of almost cliche sort of vocal style. Um, when you're singing about what you're singing about, when you're what these songs mean, and the theme of the album, the title of the album, and everything that runs through it, the name, everything all sort of works together, and your singer is the man who is almost is putting across the meaning of these songs, and that's what the style needs to reflect, not some old some outdated sort of delivery. It needs to be contemporary, really.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's exactly what you've pulled off.
Yeah, I think yeah, I'm really happy about the way it turned out as well. It was in every aspect. It was kind of an experiment, with the vocals. Like you said, we have yeah, more orchestral stuff. That's something
Yeah.
that we've been experimenting with. So it was, on a lot of things, it was a bit of an experiment. But I think, like you said, like it's more like a contemporary sound right now
Yeah.
than something that could be, like recorded in the 80s, but it's just like sounding like it's, released now. So
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
You
that's
don't
really
sound, you put it this way,
good,
you don't sound like fans playing music. You sound like a bunch of musicians who people are going to be fans of.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the big change, the difference I think with in our style in
Yeah.
general. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's miles ahead, and you've got some dates planned in May. Do you think they're going to happen? Is it looking likely or not?
Fingers and toes crossed. Yeah, I don't know. Of course, we hope it will continue and we can start. But Factor has to come from the USA with a plane, and I don't know. It doesn't look good right now.
Yeah, yeah. No. Well, yeah. We were supposed to do a world tour in 2020 for our first album in 29 years. Well, that went out the window. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Our world tour consists of 4 shows so far.
yeah. But
Unfortunately,
it's sad,
yeah, yeah. It is, man. It really is. It really is. But hey, it is what it is. We're all coping to a certain extent. I mean, I'm still in lockdown now, but we're making our way out of it, and it's sounding like we might actually have some festivals this summer. So, fingers crossed. But again, you just never know. So nobody wants to get too excited.
Yeah,
But
and also, a lot of tours have already been rescheduled to now, and then again, so
yeah,
like for one, it's so much work to organize a tour, but then, it get rescheduled. It's again a lot of work, but then now for the third time, reschedule it again. So, all these guys who are working on this, behind the scenes to make it happen, they have to do 3 times the work for the,
yeah,
maybe the pay of 1 time. So it's becoming yeah, really really terrible. I think.
I mean, the money people have lost is frightening. I know our international agent is basically he's folded his company and gone into partnership with two other companies who've done the same, because they've all said, well, look, we're all in trouble individually. Why don't we club together and try and get through this, together, which was a great idea. And one way of getting through it, everyone's doing their best, but hey, look, I don't want to end on a negative note, because this has all been so positive. And, again, I want to congratulate you on a great album, on having the balls to follow through on it. I just think is absolutely, it's absolutely fantastic. And it's great to meet somebody who is of a like mind, which is, just because thrash has been around from the 80s doesn't mean to sound, we don't all have to sound like it's still the fucking 80s.
It's cool, but sometimes you want to hear something different,
Exactly. Well, look, thank you very much, Frank. I really appreciate your time. I know you've got a hell of a day on, and you're going to be sat talking to idiots like me all day. So try not to go mad, and try not to lose your temper with anyone. I do that all the time. It's been a real pleasure, man. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you too, and it was really nice talking to you. And thanks for the opportunity.
No problem, mate. Take care and good luck with the tour, the album, and everything. I'll see you over here sometime, or we'll see you over there.
All right. Thanks a lot.
And you can totally understand why we got on so well there, because not only was Frank talking my language, but they have delivered as well with the new album. The new album, the first album of Cryptosis. Great album. Definitely check out Bionic Swarm. I really enjoyed doing that, and I'm hoping that at some point we're going to get to see the band live as well. Not sure about their tour with Vector at the moment, but really enjoyed doing that, and check out the album. Now, from a band who are pretty new on the scene with a brand new album, and their first album, to a repeat guest. It's his third time on the show. He was one of the first guests on the show way back in 2014, and it is my good friend Michael Gilbert from Flotsam Jetsam. We had a right old natter. It was really good to catch up. And as you will hear, we'll get the update on what's going on in the Flots camp and all of that good stuff. So, without further ado, here is myself and Michael having a chat a few weeks ago. Hello.
Howard, what's up, man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Good. It's nice to hear from you, man. I haven't talked to you in so long.
It's been forever, hasn't it? It must have been. Actually, it wasn't even the last time you were over here, because I'm just trying to think, because I ended up interviewing Eric. I think you'd gone to Camden.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So I think I turned up. You'd gone to Camden, and then I missed your guys' set, because I was interviewing Bobby from Overkill, and I don't think I even saw you that night, and yet I was in the building. It's bizarre, very strange, but it's been a fucking while. How you doing, man? How are you getting through all of this?
You know what, man? I ended up getting. Hold on a second. I'm going to switch to a video call. Can you hear me okay, or should I get you? Do you want another? Because I'm going to put you on speak.
Mate, you sound absolutely fine.
Oh, okay, cool. Right on.
Yeah, absolutely. This is one of the easier calls that I've made. So yeah, you doing okay? I've seen I've been keeping up with you on Facebook, and Arizona seems to be pretty much open for business compared to where I am at the moment.
Yeah, that's what I hear. We're able to, we can go out to dinner, and we can do, we just stay away from each other, but we had kind of a hot spot of the nation with the COVID thing, and I ended up catching it on actually January 1st.
Wow.
And it definitely sucked. It was like the flu on steroids, and it lasted about 7 days, and then for about 3 weeks afterwards, it's still like, they talk about the the lingering effects, there's definitely, that's pretty bad. It felt like every day just super sore, and it's hard to get out of bed. I was sleeping a lot.
Man, that's because there's that other thing, isn't there? That what they call long COVID, which that sounds like it's an absolute bastard if you get that.
Well, I'll tell you this: beer doesn't cure it, because I drank enough beer while I was sick to try to drink it out of me. It didn't cure it.
Well, thank you, Dr. Gilbert, for coming on and clearing that up. Oh man, that's that. So, but are you back to normal now? Is your sense of smell and taste, is that all back to normal?
Yeah, pretty much. I'm probably at 99%. I'm still a little tired, but I can get through the day pretty much, and then I'm kind of on old man hours. I go to sleep about 8:30, 9 o'clock every night.
Oh, really? Wow. Ultimately, I guess it's really it's taken it out of your system, and your system is still recovering.
Oh yeah, totally. So it's not very rock and roll to go to bed that early. That's not what people want to hear.
That I'm going to use that as the headline for this interview now. Yeah, Michael Gilbert of Flotsam Jetsam fame. The party animal admits that he now goes to bed at 8:30 every night. So what have you been working on? Because I swear I saw you at a video shoot a few weeks ago.
You did. We were supposed to release our new album, I think on January 10th or something like that, this past January. But since everything was getting pushed back, all our tour dates and everything, we decided to go ahead and release, keep the release date for June 4th, I believe it's going to be now. So it's kind of weird. We're usually, whenever we release a record, you're under all this pressure. You know all this stuff. You're under a lot of pressure to get all your artwork in and your master tape. And then all of a sudden the video comes, and it gets crazy. But being able to just kind of take our time with stuff, we've got everything flipped around backwards. So we did the videos, and we're going to start releasing the videos here pretty soon. I think we're going to make the announcement April 1st, and there's going to be a video release with the announcement of the record coming out. So that's basically what we've been doing. That's the one good thing that comes out of it is you got to stay home. Well, what am I going to do? Well, I guess I'll turn on my recording studio and write another song. So again, we had a ton of music written for this record.
That does help, yeah, ever so slightly.
Are you guys doing the same thing?
No. Well, we've got the album that we put out an album at the end of 2019, which is our first album for 29 years. We played 4 shows, and then of course we're supposed to tour it in 2020. So, ultimately, I think we've got to tour that album before we can put another one out, because we need to tour that album properly. It was a kind of a landmark for us, and obviously the creative juices are starting to stir and stuff like that. But it'll be a good sort of 2 or 3 years before there's another Acid Rain album. But yeah, really it's just been a case of just trying to constantly rejig a tour that didn't happen. Mate, it is just so frustrating. Just announcing dates for the 3rd and 4th time is never a good look.
Yeah, we're doing the same thing. So, but imagine what it's going to be like when we all get to go out there and do our thing, those first shows you guys do are going to be absolutely chaotic, because people are they're going to be in a frenzy for music,
Yeah. Yeah, I totally agree. I'm one of these people that thinks, and a lot of people are saying, well, I think you might find people will still be trying to stay away from crowds, and people aren't going to have much money because of the economy, so they're going to have to be choosy. And I'm like, do you know what? After you've been locked up in your house for a year, I think pretty much a lot of people are going to go, fuck that, I'm going out. Yeah,
I think so too. I'm looking forward to shows. I can't wait to get back on the road, man. It's like something, just a giant chunk of me is missing, to not go out and see everybody and do the thing I love. I'm sitting at home and just, watching movies. Yeah.
I know.
Boring.
I mean, well, look, I've got. Occasionally, I put out a movie podcast in this called Movie Bollocks, and I put one out recently, and it's 55 minutes where I review 26 TV programs and movies, and I'm going to be putting another one out very soon because it's all I'm fucking doing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we've been this thing on Netflix where we do the streaming, from Netflix, and these movies come in that they're in English, but they're all fucked up because they're filmed in another language and they put this voiceover in English.
Yeah, they dub it. Yeah.
We're watching all these foreign movies, these foreign films, and some of them are really good. So I'm kind of getting into that right now. I'm horrible with the names of movies, though. I'm absolutely horrible with it.
Well, I'm kind of know where you're coming from. We're all at a stage in our viewing habits now where it's like we're breaking through walls that we've never been through before. We're watching, some people are watching like subtitled movies and they've never watched them before, but it's like, fuck it, I don't care. I've had enough.
That's where I am.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I've completed Netflix. It's over now. But no. I mean, but it's kind of weird. It's like when you find something as well. What I found is when somebody finds like a really good movie or a really good TV program or something like that, they message everybody and you get it and you're like, oh, great. Okay, thanks. It's like TV and movie recommendations have never meant so much.
Oh, yeah. Yep, same thing's going on with me. I got my friends doing the same thing, telling me what to watch. What did I watch the other day that was really good? It was called Hired Gun, and it's about music. Jeremy Hook, or Jason Hook, sorry. Jason Hook from Five Finger Death Punch was the producer on it, and it's just kind of about musicians, hired gun musicians. It's pretty cool, pretty informative,
Yeah, no, it's good. I watched that a while ago. Have you watched Who the Fuck is Michael Alago?
Yeah, I watched that a while back too. He's a good friend of mine, so I'm always supportive of what Michael does. He's been great for our career. He was our A&R rep at Elektra.
Wow, that's fucking awesome.
Yeah. So I still talk to him, and he's an awesome dude. And what a great program that is too, that he was able to put that out, about his career and about his life and stuff like that. It's fucking awesome.
I think it's awesome, especially given who he is, where he's come from, his ethnicity, his sexuality, and the fact that if he ain't working at Elektra, thrash metal doesn't look how it looks now.
I totally agree with that.
And I just think that's fucking awesome, and the fact that he's able to, to get that out there as well. It's really, really cool. I enjoyed the movie. I really liked it, but I didn't. Yeah, that's so cool that you were that he was your A&R.
Oh yeah, he was. He was there from 1987, I think, is when he signed us. He came out to Phoenix and he signed us, and we were like, "Wow, my God, this is the guy who signed Metallica! Holy shit, we're gonna be Metallica type of thing." And history is we ended up living in Jason's shadow for a long time from the fans.
It's like, wow, we're signed to Electrica just like Metallica. Well, actually, it's just the bass player who's going to have that experience. Yeah, do you know what? You've gone back a real long way. We've ended up stumbling into it, but I mean, just in case it's a question you haven't been asked recently, and I know it's one we haven't talked about, that must have been, I mean, I look at that situation from my own personal point of view, being in a band. If I was in Flotsam and Jetsam, how would I have felt? I would have been, it would have just wound me up so much that we were in the shadow of our bass player who's gone off and joined Metallica. What was it like to deal with at the time?
Jason and I had a kind of a special, musical relationship. So from the get-go, I just thought that was a great opportunity for him. And, you know, if it would have been me or anybody else in the band, I would have expected the same thing, you know. I mean, I know that it was a hard decision for him to leave us, and because he's very passionate about, you know, the Doomsday record. You know, he was on our most classic record.
Yeah.
And he poured his heart into it. You know, he starved basically, just like the rest of us, to get that record out. You know, so there's blood, sweat, and tears in it. And then for him to leave the band, I know it was a tough decision. And when I talked to him before he finally departed, you know, he sat down with me and said, "Dude, I wouldn't do this for any other band." He's like, "This is the hardest thing for me." And, you know, and like I said, you know, we were connected musically for sure, because we wrote a lot of that record together. And he was my friend, you know, he still is my friend. I couldn't not, like, embrace what he was getting ready to embark on and wish him all the luck, and hopefully he would get all the success too, you know. He's a great dude, man.
Yeah, well, that's always come across, I think. You know, he's one of those on the level dudes in metal. That's kind of how he comes across.
Oh yeah,
you know, and it's great to hear that's how he is as well. But presumably after that situation, it's like, okay, cool, I'm pleased for my buddy, all the rest of it. But what happens after that when you become the band that Jason Newsted used to be in, and that years down the road, you know, you're still kind of feeling like, Jesus, this again? I don't know, I'm guessing, you know. How was it?
It's weird because, like, they just seem, the fan base, I'm going to jump forward a little bit, just seem that the fan base over the last 2 or 3 records that they've kind of went, okay, this wasn't all Jason that was doing all this stuff, you know. And when he quit, you know, we were in the shadow, and well, I shouldn't say when he quit, because I guess he did quit or whatever, I don't know. When he was reassigned.
he accepted the Metallica mission.
Yeah. You know, the Flotsam fans that we had at the time were saying, oh, you know, this band isn't going to be shit after this since Jason left. So we worked hard to try to prove it. So, you know, there's 5 of us here, and it wasn't all Jason. Jason was a big part of it, but he wasn't the part of it, you know. So we released our second record, No Place for Disgrace, which...
Great album.
Yeah, a lot of people love that record, and there's songs on there that we absolutely cannot not play in the set. So, you know, and they still were saying, even after that, you know, these were Jason's songs, and they weren't, you know.
Yeah.
And then, you know, we released another record after that had some great songs, videos.
When the Storm Comes Down, mate, had some good songs on it. I'll tell you for nothing, that is a thrash fucking masterpiece. That is, without doubt, for me, in the top 20 best thrash albums of all time, without a doubt. And for me, what sets it apart from every album at the time, the quality of songwriting on that record is phenomenal.
Yeah, you know, we did some crazy shit on that record for sure. There's something to be said about the way music was written in those days, in the late 80s, early 90s, before all these, like, home studios started evolving, you know. Like, all the guys in the band getting in a room together and working out the songs and playing together. I think you can really hear that, as opposed to, like, a lot of the newer music where guys are just sending WAV files back and forth to their, you know, and dropping them into Pro Tools. But there's some energy that evolves from 5 guys or however many guys are in your band all getting together and hashing it out, you know.
Yeah, I saw an interview with Scott Ian where he said, you know, when we're writing Anthrax stuff, it's still the same way we used to write it 20 years ago. It's, you know, it's me, Charlie, and Frankie in a room headbanging.
Yeah, that's pretty awesome. You know, we can't even do that right now because we got members that live all over the place. You know, so I would love to be able to get back together with the guys and get in a room and just crank it up and blow our ears out.
Oh man, I'd love to do that as well. I mean, we've got we're spread all over the UK, and obviously, we're not allowed to leave our houses unless it's for unless it's for exercise or considered to be an essential reason for leaving your house at the moment. And I don't think playing a bunch of kick-ass thrash metal songs is not considered essential at the moment.
Well. That depends on who you talk to.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, we could give it a whirl, but I don't think we could be able to pull it off. To be honest with you, speaking of the last three albums. Well, you've got an album to come out, but I was looking at my podcast history, and the first time I had you on, in fact, the last time I had you on. Get this, it's coming up to 6 years ago. It was June 2015.
That was the last time I saw you. Was at in front of the venue, the Underworld.
No, that was the next time. You see, that was the first time we'd seen each other for years. Then you came back again, and you met my then girlfriend as well.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
And then you came back again, and I interviewed, and that's when I interviewed Eric. So the last time I saw you was when we were outside that venue. So that was, I think it's about 2017, something like that.
So that's still a long time ago.
Yeah, I know, man. And that was a great show. But going back to so I'm thinking you've had the Flotsam Jetsam album out. Which was the album that followed that. And then you've had End of Chaos. Are we allowed to find out what the title of the new one is yet, or is that all? I'm presuming that's a press release down the line.
Yeah, that's the press release. I wish I could tell you. That'll be out April 1st though, or April 2nd. We have April Fools, which I think it's a kind of a strange because there's going to be all this shit on social media about April Fool's Day. I don't know if that's the greatest time to announce, or I don't know.
Funnily enough, when you said April the 1st, I was thinking, okay, well, fair enough. I mean, to be honest, if there was ever a band who were going to release a press release on April the 1st, it would be Acid Rain. I mean, we even did a whole tour called the April Fool's Tour. But yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. But hey, I guess they got to know what they're doing, right?
Yep, leave it up to the record label. They did a great job on the last two, so we're kind of like, whatever you guys want to do, let's roll with it.
Yeah, I mean that last tour you did through the UK and Europe with Overkill was just crushing. That was awesome.
Yeah, I want to do that again. Man, there's just crazy fun times with those guys, man. In Destruction, oh geez, yeah, it's just fun.
I know, and the thing is, what I loved about that was just the fact that there was, look, there's three bands who can do headline tours of Europe and the UK, no problem, but put them together, and all of a sudden, people are coming out of the woodwork. I genuinely think that we're going to see a hell of a lot more of that after COVID. I think we're going to see a lot of that.
Yeah, I hope so. I would actually love to do that lineup again. It's just I wasn't done. I wasn't ready to say goodbye to those guys.
Oh, bless. I know, but I know what you mean though, because when you form such strong bonds on tours, you form strong bonds. You form entire vocabularies, don't you? You have complete tour speak where people don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, you got all the inside stuff that all this stuff evolves. You got inside jokes with these guys. You know their personal lives. You know everything, and then all of a sudden they're gone. It's like, and I've talked to other musicians about this that tour, and I know you probably feel it too because it's like post-traumatic tour stress or something like that. When you get home and you're just depressed, man. You're like, fuck, what am I going to do now? And you're just depressed. And I just pace. I come home and I pace.
Wow.
Back and one end of my house to the next, to the other, back and forth. I might get a beer and pace back.
Wow. Well, yeah, I know exactly what you mean, and I get depressed, and also I think a tiny little bit of abandonment issues as well, a tiny little bit of sort of like, oh, they've all left me.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That's definitely, I would say that.
Yeah. It's kind of weird. Yeah, literally, do you know what you're talking about? That pacing in the house. I know what you mean. It's almost like pacing room to room, expecting to see somebody in one of those rooms.
Yeah, something like that. Totally.
yeah, and it doesn't make any sense, and you know that that's not going to happen, but it's kind of, you know, it's just what you're doing. It's a really really weird time decompressing from a tour, and I've never had to do it whilst living with somebody, which I'm really pleased about, because trying to explain it would have been an absolute nightmare.
Yeah, the people in my life that I, you know, my loved ones, they all recognize it, and they're getting familiar with when I come home, and they're kind of like, what the fuck? But then they're, oh yeah, he's got that weird depression thing going on. You know, when we were out with Overkill on this last tour, like I was getting woken up every morning by Derek from Overkill, like with a margarita in his hand, going, "Let's go, dude." So when I get home and I wake up and there's no Derek, I'm like, fuck.
And the thing is as well is that you tell stories like that to like your friends or your loved ones, and they're like, "You're waking up and drinking margaritas? Are you all right?" And you're like, "You don't understand." It's like, you know, they think, "Are you okay? You know, do you need to dry out? Do you need to check into a clinic?" And you're like, "It doesn't matter. It was tour, boo. What goes on tour stays on tour."
Oh man, you should taste Derek's margaritas. There was a few days where margarita mix and tequila were scarce, so he was making margaritas with what's that, Fanta orange juice or orange soda?
Yeah.
Oh, they were the worst. But how can you say no to that, you know? You can't.
Oh, man. I tell you what, I would easily say no to a Fanta orange fucking... Oh, God. That sounds revolting. I think I want to go back to sleep rather than drink one of those. That sounds fucking disgusting, mate. It really does.
It was only disgusting until you got about halfway through it, and it started to taste pretty good.
Right, yeah, there is that, isn't there? Yeah, there is that. It's like, just look, if you drink enough of it, you'll stop tasting it, and it'll be all right. Yeah. That is classic tour behaviour. So how have you managed to pull this album together then? Have you all been just like sending tunes across to each other?
Well, we have been doing that. But we've had a departure of another member. Like we're like the Cheap Trick of metal and our bass players.
Hang on. Eric told me, right, that the album was called The End of Chaos because it felt like it was the end of chaos, and the management and the band and the lineup and everything was nice and stable. So you called the album The End of Chaos. That wasn't a very good idea, was it?
It was actually the beginning of chaos after we got home.
Shit! Oh, I thought you weren't going to tell me what the new album's called.
Oh, that would have been a good follow-up, huh? The restart. Yeah.
Is it too late? And can I get my 5%?
Yes, we ended up parting ways with Michael Spencer, the bass player.
Hey, how come? Hang on, really?
Yeah, I mean, he was just kind of going a different direction, you know, and some things happened, and business-wise, and it just, I want a connection with the dudes that I play with, you know, and it seems like he was getting more and more disconnected with things. It just, you know, we had to make a change. So we ended up getting this dude that actually was filling in for Michael Spencer. His name was Bill Bodley. He was filling in for Spencer on the tours, on the U.S. tours, and he probably would have been filling in on more if we hadn't parted ways with Spence. So it's always sad to do that, to have that happen, but I think it was for the best. And once everybody hears the new record, I think everybody else is going to think it's for the best too, because bass playing, Bill's an amazing player, man. He's a very technical, solid, and he's got a good look on stage, and he's got great ideas to put down for his playing on the album. So I'm excited for everybody to hear him.
And that's cool as well, because even better, on top of all of that, you can tour with the guy as well.
Oh yeah, and he takes a joke, and we hazed him, but that hazing is not going to stop. I can't stop hazing the guy because it's so much fun.
Go on, sorry.
He can take it too. I want to see how long it takes to break him.
Oh, right. Okay. Well, I look forward to seeing that when I come up. What is it about hazing bass players in thrash metal bands? It seems like the law, right?
Yeah, it's got to go down that way. The bass player, yeah.
I think it's because, and we can say this with the greatest amount of respect for all the bass players we've ever known, but I think it's because it's probably the least important instrument in a thrash band. It's okay, Michael. You can agree or not. It's entirely up to you. But I'm putting it out there. Don't worry. It's my big mouth that's responsible for this. But I mean, come on, seriously. Who is going out and coming back and going, "Oh, this thrash album is fucking amazing. Have you heard the bass playing?" Nah, no one's saying that.
That's funny. Yeah, they might after they hear Bill on this record.
Oh, beautifully done, sir. Well played. You've just knocked that out the park. Yeah, that's one way of getting around it. But I look, Ian, part of me's joking and part of me's not. But I know exactly what you mean. Having a bass player who is, solid and great and backing everybody, that's fine. But a bass player that can actually bring something to the table and have ideas as well is as important as anyone. Yeah,
absolutely. We didn't want somebody that's like, how can I say it? Like Cliff Williams, where he's just in the back playing, Cliff Williams from AC/DC. He's in the back playing one note, dum 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 dum. But it's great with AC/DC. What he does is great, but that wouldn't be great in what we do. We need someone that's got that thump, that plays with the bass drum, but is also gonna spark a little color someplace, and when that's needed. Yeah. Just like when guitar solos are needed, or when there's harmony for the vocals, or there just needs to be a monstrous drum fill.
Well, so yeah, I mean, I think you guys really were part of the evolution of bass playing. I can't believe I'm going down this route now, but the opening of of Hammerhead is recognisable because of the crazy bass playing that Jason's putting all over it. And I think when I heard that was the first time that I'd heard a thrash band, other than obviously Anesthesia Pulling Teeth. I think that's the first time I'd heard a thrash band really showcase a bass player, and because for years, if you were a bass player in a thrash band, all you did was just basically play the riffs that the guitarists are playing.
Yeah, that's the thing that was different about Newstead. Jason Ward, Troy Gregory, Spencer, and Bill. I mean, those are all our bass players. They don't just play what the guitar player is playing. They play. I might be wrong here, but for me, the bass and the drums should be like one. And if they're not together, like if you don't hear that thumping bass playing with the bass drum, then your rhythm section's kind of falling apart. From the get-go. And that's just kind of how I look at music. Yeah.
Well, exactly, and I think that it was people thinking that it's thrash metal. This is how it goes, but it's not, is it? Everything evolves, everything changes, and And as you mentioned some bass players there, and you mentioned, fuck me, Troy Gregory, bloody hell. I mean, incredible bass player, incredible guy. But I mean, that intro to No More Fun, that is just some serious fingerwork.
Yeah, he had that bass slapping thing going on, and back then you didn't hear too much of that in thrash metal, hardly at all.
Yeah, hardly at all. Well, I remember when we played with you, I think Troy did a bass. It might have done a bass solo. Does that ring a bell?
Yep, he would do bass solos.
Yeah,
but he would do it. He had like the Eddie Van Halen tapping stuff going on when he was doing his solos. Which he did some cool stuff. He's a great bass player for sure.
Yeah, and then and kind of went straight out of Flotsam Jetsam and straight into Prong. And I think is that you guys toured together, didn't you?
Yeah, that's how they all met actually. So that's a funny story because by the end of that tour, we toured the United States with Prong, and by the end of that tour, Troy was in Prong. He was riding. He was on their bus, and we're just kind of like, oh, okay, well, that's kind of weird, but okay. But, we're all friends with Prong, too. Tommy Victor's a friend of mine, and they're a great band, man, and they've done some really great stuff. So if that's what Troy wanted to do, okay, that's fine.
Well, do you know what? There is a connection. I know Tommy as well. And I met Tommy when they played the Duchess of York in a place called Leeds, and I think it was the Beg to Differ tour. And I was chatting to him, and I offered, and I said, look, he was wearing a Flotsam Jetsam When the Storm Comes Down T-shirt, and I was wearing an Acid Rain T-shirt, and I was like, oh, I'd love to, I'd love to swap that T-shirt with you. If, it's a shame I haven't got anything with me. And he was like, I'll swap that. I'll swap it for that Acid Rain shirt. And I was like, all right. He goes, I haven't heard any, but I heard they're pretty cool. I was like, you cheeky bastard, I'm the singer. And he was like, oh man, you guys know Nuclear Assault, don't you? I was like, yeah. Dan's the man. And he was like, man, Dan was telling me all about you guys and the stuff you were doing in Europe. And I was like, oh God. So yeah, long story short, friend of Tommy's as well, and I traded an Acid Rain T-shirt for a When the Storm Comes Down tour T-shirt from that very tour that you did together.
I'm gonna have to call Tommy on that one and ask him what the fuck.
Yeah,
trading our shirt.
Yeah, exactly. I think he made me give him £50 as well. A great band, another great band. Funnily enough, when you were saying about Flotsam and Prong touring together, and I'm like, oh man, that is like two great bands who have never, in my opinion, who haven't got the got what you deserve out of the business. I don't know. Do you feel you have?
You know what? Everybody measures success a different way, and yeah, my bank account doesn't look like Jason Newsted's, but my experience that I've had in my life with all my tours and all the people that I've met, man, it can't. There's no measure of value. It's such a great value. There's no way to measure how much that means to me. Yeah.
I mean, you're quite right. You have to take that holistic view, don't you? You have to look across, the entire experience, and also, especially when you don't know what you'd be swapping it for.
Yeah. That's I still talk to friends from high school and stuff like that, and I see pictures of them on Facebook, and I'm like, man, these motherfuckers are looking old. And there's something about what we do that we still, it keeps the youth. We act like 12-year-olds when we're out on the road. I don't know. It just keeps us healthy, and it keeps us youthful. It keeps a good attitude about things. And I'm just very thankful I get to do it. I get to make, every time we make another record, I'm so grateful that, wow, there's people out there that that have been moved by some of the stuff that we have written. So I get to do it again, and that's the holistic view. I like that.
Yeah, and you know what? I think everything you just said there, I completely agree with. I think it does keep you young. I think there is a I don't know. I'm not a believer, certainly not in souls. But if I had a soul, then this music and what we do is plugged directly into it, and it keeps me young. I mean, I turned 50 in lockdown, and I cannot get my head around it. I've got to be honest. I cannot get through my head that I am 50 years old. I am 35 at the oldest.
Isn't that weird, though? When we were kids, we're like, 50? Holy shit, that's fucking old. And here we are. And then we're saying, fucking 70's old. Holy shit.
Yeah, I look, exactly that. I'm literally exactly that, thinking 50's old. Now I'm 50 and I'm going, okay, I'm old. You're an old man. Try and behave like an old man. Be an old man. I'm like, I can't. I just can't do it. And again, I think it's because, as you were saying there about, the make another album, do another tour, everything, and you get to experience all of that stuff again. I think it keeps you young because it keeps you vital, because you keep pressing refresh, and you keep getting to enjoy all of that stuff again, and you're entertaining people. And that is a great vibe anyway. That is we all love, we love doing it. You love being up on that stage, and you love entertaining people, and you love seeing the pleasure you bring to people. And when you've been doing that for a long time, I think it's kind of like it's you just stop looking. Age becomes an irrelevance. How's that?
I agree with that. I hear people saying, "Oh, rock and roll is young man's," because you see all these young bands and stuff that are out there. But I kind of disagree with that. I don't think age really makes a difference in rock and roll. I really don't. So I agree with you completely.
Yeah, it's. I think it's also there's being on stage you get, and being on tour, you were saying about acting like 12-year-olds. It's almost like a childlike state when you're on the road. Do you know what I mean? We're just kids, aren't we?
Yeah, and people that don't do it don't understand. It's like, I know there is a law and stuff like that, and you got to abide by the laws out there. But when you're on the road, it doesn't feel like there's any laws. There's no holding you back to anything. You can do whatever you want, and it's like it's just weird, man. I guess it's a kind of a freedom feeling, I don't know. I can't explain it.
Yeah,
it's just we need it. I know you need it. I need it to be out we just need to be out on the road because that's what we do, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I loved like all of the. I remember one tour we did. We're at a service station, and we got a load of stuff, and this girl at the counter was like, "Oh, are you guys all at work?" And we were like, "Yeah, kind of." And she was like, "Oh, what do you do?" So, well, we're a band. She was like, "Oh, I thought you were. What's the name of the band?" Acid Rain. And she was like, "Oh, right." So we made a real fuss of her. We all got behind the counter, and we did a big selfie with her. And then now it's like, "Okay, what's your Instagram handle?" And she gave us her Instagram. She said, "Right, we're going to blow your account up now." So we're on the bus, everybody is posting Instagram, texting her, tagging her, including her on the pics. We're putting it on the band account and everything. Totally blew up her social media account. What a bunch of fucking children! But we thought it was hilarious.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
It is just like and the people you meet, some, as you said, like sometimes you meet people, especially people who work at venues, which is kind of weird because you can turn up at a venue and you're only going to be there for a certain amount of hours, and yet you can form some really strong bonds with people who work in a venue over the space of like 6 or 8 hours.
Oh yeah, that's totally true. And you look forward to going back and revisiting them. Yep.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, you've like revisited them and said, "Oh, we're coming over soon. Oh, look, I'm really looking forward to it. It's going to be great." And then when you look at it, it's like, wow, I've only actually ever spent 6 hours in the same building as this person, and yet I feel like we're the best of friends.
Yeah.
And that's that brotherhood that takes place of bit like, being on the road and all the rest of it. It lasts. You bump into people that you haven't toured with for 20 years, and it's literally like you just stepped off the bus.
Oh, it is. It's definitely like that. You pick up right where you left off.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just so. It's intangible as well. Again, it's not something that you can. It's not something that you can explain to people outside of the business.
No, definitely not. I know, like my friends that live here, they understand that I do what I do, but they don't understand really why. You can't explain it. It's unexplainable.
Yeah. Yeah, it's like when I do stand up and people come up and say, "Oh my God, I don't know how you could do that." It's it's the last thing I'd want to do, and it's like, well, yeah, I know, but it doesn't make me brave because it's the last thing you want to do. I want to get up there and do it. That's it's just me. It's just being selfish, basically. That's what performing is. It is kind of just being selfish.
See, you have a gift, though. You can get up in front of people. You can do your stand-up, or you can sing. You can talk in front of people, and you're completely comfortable with that. For me, I can't do that. I can play guitar all day long, but if I have to sing or I have to talk, oh my God, I'm going to have to change my underwear, man, because it's just terrible.
That's kind of strange. So. I mean, I don't want to use the expression "hide behind the guitar" because I think that's a lazy cliche. But that guitar is there for a reason, isn't it?
Oh yeah, I definitely need that for. I'm even terrified at sound check when they're like, "Okay, Gilbert, check your mic," and I got to stand up there and go, "Check 1, 2, check 1." And that's all I got. That's all I know how to say at a sound check,
Not even mic 1, mic 1. Isn't this a lot of fun?
Yeah. So the idea of doing stand-up like you do, oh my God, it's just a whole different world, man.
Well, you've just, mate, it's easy. You've just got to have a massive fucking ego, and it's all right. But it is. But I'll tell you what. After 20 odd years of doing stand up and then going back into being in a band, boy, I tell you, I did not realise how much I had missed the team effort, all coming off the stage together and being in a dressing room and being able to share the love and share the buzz.
Oh yeah, that's absolutely true as well. Like the buzz when you get off stage and you guys have had a good show, and like the feeling of like you all accomplished something that was felt by the whole audience that's an incredible feeling. Yeah, and when
your conversations afterwards where you're saying, "Oh, did you see that guy over there?" And, "Oh yeah, and during that song, did you see that guy? And anyone see that?" And you're all kind of, do you know what I mean? You all get to come down off that huge high. You all get to come down kind of slowly together.
Yep.
Whereas stand up is like the luge, basically. That coffee tray that they put people on and send them down like an ice chute, and it's called an Olympic event.
That is fucking insane.
Yeah, it's fucking insane. But it's kind of like that's what happens when you come off stage as a stand up. You come off stage and you go down that ice chute, and it's like you're fucked. You're out there, you're on your own, you're fucked. Whereas when you come off stage from being in a band, it's like you've been in a toboggan. Do you know? It's like the 4 or 5 of you have been around the whole track together, and you all get out and chat about the journey.
Great analogy, man. Holy shit.
Dude, I'd never thought about it before. It just came to me, but I kind of like that.
Oh yeah, it's killer.
Well, I tell you what, I'm throwing out album titles here. Just pick any one up you like. Look, Michael, I'm not gonna keep going on about you about the new album, but 1st of April, and have you got some kind of loose-ish dates booked?
That's funny you bring that up. We're throwing that around right now because we've got dates booked in Europe during like the festivals in June. So we're trying to put together some things maybe in the States to kind of warm up for that. And that stuff hasn't been canceled yet, and we're still like kind of nervous about it getting canceled because I think Hellfest is in there. And then there's some club dates too, starting on, I think it's June 11th is when that starts. And then we got some firm dates in January of next year for Europe as well.
Oh, cool, man. Cool.
I think you too.
Yeah, well, it'd be nice to see you, man. Well, look, that's the main interview over with, but don't go anywhere because I've got some subscriber questions for you to answer if you don't mind.
Oh yeah, totally.
Cool, man. Okay, but for now, that's the main interview. Thank you very much.
Howard, thanks for reaching out, man. And it's always good to talk to you, dude. And thank you for having me on, man.
Well, that's very nice of you to say so, Michael. It's an absolute pleasure having you on. I obviously had a really good chat there, and I'm now going to do what I normally don't do, which is, pick the interview apart. But the stuff about Jason, we just that's the thing about podcasts, isn't it? That's the thing about the long form interview style of a podcast, is that you stray. You have a conversation. That's what it is. It's a conversation, and with a normal conversation that you have with anybody, with your friends, whoever, you are going to stray all over the place into different subjects. And we just ended up there talking about Jason leaving all those years ago, and it was really surprising. It was funny because we've never talked about that, and I've known Michael a very, very long time, and we've never had that conversation before. And of course, we went on to have another half an hour of great conversation that only patrons can listen to. So patreon.com/Howard H. Smith, or click the support this podcast link in the description of the podcast. And that'll take you there, and you'll see all of the lovely stuff you get for just $5 or $6 a month. Anyway, without that, moving on. What bloody hell? I don't know what went on there. There was a sort of weird noise, wasn't there? It was like it's fucking bizarre. What is wrong with me? What is bloody wrong with me? Another musical tip. An album by a band called Pears, and this is the album Pears. And pears as in the fruit, okay? Pears. Go to the Bandcamp. It's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. It reminds me, it's the closest thing I've heard to a sort of modern Descendants. Yeah, I know. I mean, if somebody had said that to me, I probably would have had ridiculously high expectations. But they didn't. So they just said it was a great album. And they is Stephen, or you may know him as Old Head from YouTube, and the Old Head Metal Group on Facebook, Stephen Ivy, who is also a patron, by the way. That's right, the Patreon content is that good. And he recommended that to me, and it's taken me ages to get around to it. Great album. If you like catchy... if you like catchy punk, then look. If you like Descendants, if you like, but it's quite thrashy as well. It's fucking great. Honestly, I absolutely love it. I really do. And one album that I've been that I've kind of gone back to and I'm paying a lot of attention to. Well, I've played it a few times. It's the 21st. What the fuck is wrong with me? For a start, the album I'm going to mention, it's the 25th anniversary, not the 21st, which is a mixture of 24th and 23rd, when I wanted to say 25th. What the fuck is wrong? 1 minute I'm going and the next minute I'm getting the 21st. What the fuck? What a dick. I'm sorry, I do apologise. You shouldn't have to listen to this fucking rubbish, should you? But I can't be bothered to edit it, so it's all fucking shit. Either that, or I don't mind looking like a dick. I guess it's years of being a stand-up comedian, You don't mind being exposed as the fucking idiot that you are. Because that's, I mean, you know I am anyway. If you listen enough, and certainly if you're still listening at this stage, then you know what you're getting from this podcast. And I mean, hopefully that is why, let's say it, that's why you tune in. Or maybe not. Maybe these are the bits where you go, fucking hell, I could do without him jabbering on like a fucking idiot. I nearly said spaz, but that's a bad word. Yeah, fucking hell. The 25th anniversary. It'd be typical me to forget what I was talking about then as well. The 25th anniversary of Machine Head's The More Things Change album. And I've listened to it a couple of times, and do you know what? It's a fucking banger. It really is. I mean, I remember it being a good album. You know, it's and it is still a good album. There is, honestly, it's if you've tired of Machine Head over the years, go back and give it a whirl. There's also I know the Digipack when it came out, which was a limited edition, has got 3 extra tracks on it, and I mean the Possibility of Life's Destruction, which is a Discharge cover, is fucking awesome on there. And there's also a window into the world of what was to come with The Burning Red, because the very last song on it is a cover version of Ice-T's Colours. I think it's Ice-T. I mean, apologies if it's not Ice-T, it might be Ice Cube. I get my Ices mixed up, you know, what can I say? You've got your Ice-T, you've got your Ice Cube, you've got your Ice Skate, that very little-known Irish rapper. You know, you've got Black Ice, he's urban kind of rap. I'm going to stop now before I just fucking say something I shouldn't without even knowing it and end up being told off by a lot of people. So, look, thank you very much for listening. It is always appreciated. And look, I just hope you've enjoyed it. You've got out of it what you want wherever you're listening. It is great being in your ears. It really is. Whatever you're doing, wherever you are, and don't forget to send me an email, howard@allabouttherock.co.uk, and if you email me that, call the subject work, and just email me from your work email address, and tell me what you're doing. Tell me what your job is, and I'll give you a shout on the podcast. It's great. Some of these do come out. I haven't said that before, have I? So I should probably apologise to all of the people who've done it already, and I haven't, so there you go. But yeah, it's purely because I like the idea of people emailing me whilst they should be at work from their work emails. I really like that idea, and I also like the idea that people are going to be hearing this, you know, years down the line, and they will get that and they'll send me that email, and like I said, I completely forgotten about it, and just occasionally emails pop into my inbox and it just says work, and I think, oh, what's this about? And then I open it up and go, oh yeah, it's that. Excellent. Anyway, guys, it's a pleasure. Loving doing this. Got some great interviews coming up for you. Hope you've enjoyed this one. Pretty thrash focused. And remember, if you were signed up at Patreon, there's another half an hour and you would have got this before you've got it. You know, you get the podcast early and all the rest of it, and you get to ask questions of the stars, whatever. Come on, sign up if you want. Anyway, it's been a pleasure. Hope you're well. Look forward to speaking to you again soon. Take care, everybody. Bye bye.